Hello and welcome to Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Let's get right into talking about the Indianapolis Colts. And today on the show, we're going to talk about crying in sports. Is it okay to cry in sports? And at what age did you stop crying in sports? I got a story for you about me playing sports. We'll talk about that. Talk about the Colts, Kenny Moore, good, bad, awful. What did you think about the Colts game yesterday? It was kind of hard to watch, even though they won the game. I don't like to complain about a win, but it was tough sledding on the ground for the Colts. We'll talk about that and anything else we have to talk about on this episode on Indiana Sports Connection. But first, let's thank our sponsor, Reynolds Wrap. Reynolds Wrap for 75 years has providing the United States with great American aluminum foil. Their everyday foil can be used for so many different things. Make steamer bags for vegetables. Use it to cover sheet pans, your grill, anything that you don't want to get all greasy and slimy that is going to save you time on cleanup by using Reynolds Wrap. Find it in your grocer's aisle. Reynolds Wrap, saving you time for 75 years. Great American aluminum foil. Thank you to Reynolds Wrap for sponsoring this video. All right, so let's talk about the Colts first, about what happened in the game yesterday. Kenny Moore had 2 pick sixes. I'm just looking at the stats a little bit here. Gardner Minshew, 17 of 26 for 127 yards and 1 touchdown. So Minshew, he didn't play a great game. What really was 18 carries for 47 yards for Jonathan Taylor. The Colts could not run the ball, and they really got outplayed in the second half of that game. Now, 2 pick sixes, no team, like especially a team with Bryce Young with 2 pick sixes, are going to win a game like that. So the Colts come out as victors. I don't want to complain too much about the game. I'll go into more detail later in the week talking about kind of what happened, because right after this, I'm going to watch the whole game again and watch more of the line play and that type of thing, so I can just get a little better idea of what happened out there, why they weren't able to run the ball. Carolina's run defense is like the worst run defense in the whole league. So kind of concerning that the Colts couldn't run the ball. Could that have been a fluky thing? I really don't know. But Bryce Young, he is definitely going to be a bust. After watching that game yesterday, he's too small. You can see watching him out on the field, his arm strength is not going to get any better. Him and Minshew really kind of look like they're playing similar games, although Minshew's a much better, more accurate thrower of the football, I think, than Bryce Young is, at least at this point. But what did you think of Bryce Young out there? Subscribe to the channel, comment down below, tell me what you think of anything going on with what we're talking about today. But I just thought Bryce Young just looked absolutely awful out there. A lot of shorter guys, like I think he's like 5'10 or 5'11, they can't get the right arm angle, and it has to do with height. I mean, you would just watch Tom Brady. These 6'5 guys, they're almost throwing the ball like down towards the receivers on like a 10-yard button hook. And guys like Bryce Young or Gardner Minshew as well, I mean, he's only like 6'1 or 6'2 Minshew. It's just a little tougher for those guys to see over the line. You see the ball sail on them a lot more when they get some pressure, really kind of like the linemen get pushed back and get right in front of them. They have a hard time throwing it over the top of those guys. But Bryce Young, yeah, I mean, after watching what C.J. Stroud did yesterday, it's kind of hard watching Bryce Young, how bad he was in that Colts game. And the Colts don't have some great defense. He should have been completing more passes. He had some time to throw in the first half and really could not find anybody open. And the loose zone that the Colts play, where they kind of allow you to throw the ball underneath, he wasn't able to get the ball underneath in some of those instances. I don't like him as a player. I think the same thing I thought about him at Alabama. I'm so thankful that the Colts did not give up a bunch of picks or anything to get Bryce Young. And to Frank Reich, I feel sorry for Frank Reich having to be there and coach that team. I know he was forced. It seems like he was forced into the position that they were going to move up and take Bryce Young. And I don't know if they forced that onto Frank Reich, but Anthony Richardson is a much better player than Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud is a much better player than both of them at this point. He's just a much better thrower of the ball. Will Anthony Richardson develop into a player that can throw the ball down the field? Well, I mean, we're going to have to wait a few years to kind of find that out, but let's move on and talk about something else. Caleb Williams, after the game this past weekend between Washington and USC, Caleb Williams goes towards the sideline, crawls up into the stands. His mother puts like a thing over his face, a piece of paper, and he puts his head on her like bosom and then cries. Look, I have no problem with the crying. I don't. I just called Dan Patrick's show and I was talking to them about it. He really cut me off before I could really say my main points, because they said on there, well, you know, guys all the time, because guys do this all the time, put something like a towel over their head and cry on the bench. To me, it was the spectacle that was being made of it. Something a coach told me one time, and I don't think I've ever shared this with anybody, is that they told me when you cry, like when you strike out, because I was like 9 years old and this coach told me this, when you cry after you strike out, you know, that person just accomplished something good. They just struck you out, right? You just struck out, whether you're 9 years old or anything. When you cry after that, you're really drawing the attention towards yourself, and it's like drawing the attention away from the victor. So that's always what I've kind of thought about it. You're drawing attention towards yourself. And you know what? And you can look at this a million different ways. It seems like people in this country are just very split. I can think two things at the same time. I can be fine with the crying, but be not fine with the, you know, going up into the stands away from your teammates. At least if you're going to cry with your teammates. Don't go cry to your mom and dad because they're not on the team. They weren't out there helping you. I mean, yes, they're your mom and dad, but I just found the optics of it, I think, were just very alarming, and how he was just belly crying in front of all these people. I mean, I just would not do it. Yes, I see people cry. I don't even agree with but like during the Final Four when the guys on the bench, you know, have like, I mean, that's a little different. They're losing. Their season's over. They got some tears coming down, you know, and they're kind of holding it back. This was different because it was just like an all out, like, oh, look how emotional he is, and how the camera followed him. And I guess it was just really the spectacle of the entire thing and just the optics of it. Didn't look good. I wouldn't do it. Although I have no problem crying in front of people if, you know, after you have kids, definitely ever since my daughter's too. I mean, since my daughter was born, it's like sometimes you just think about certain things, and I will tell you, I'll just be riding in the car and like tears come into my eyes. Hey, that's a little bit different. I'm not trying to say like my crying is justified, but yours isn't. But tell me what you thought about that in the comments down below. But I just want to shout out Kenny Moore, 2 pick sixes, set a record. His sisters were at the game. It was absolutely great. Great job to Kenny Moore. And I don't really have anything else for you today. Stay classy out there, Colts fans. We got the Hoosiers coming up. I've been working on a Bob Knight documentary, and I'm going to be working on that the rest of today. That's why last week I was a little bit sick, so I didn't make videos for a couple days, and I'm working on this Bob Knight documentary right now. Just trying to put my thoughts together and then some of the best moments from Bob Knight. So I'll be working on that. Hopefully I can get that done this afternoon. And but until next time, stay classy out there, Colts and Hoosier fans. Thanks for